finally made it to my site on Batchewan Lake. I was hoping to get to Mary Lake today, but it was just far too miserable out there. The winds were howling. There was a little break in the weather. I actually hung out on the portage for a little while. There was a break in the weather after about maybe 2 hours sitting on the portage. So I thought I'd make a run for it. And I actually thought I'd get out of Batchewan Lake and into Little Batchewan Bay, which is actually where I wanted to camp, hoping to get to Maria or Jessie Lake, but that wasn't going to happen. Anyway, here's my site. So I'll come up to a beautiful fire pit. You can see I set up the bug shelter over here. Bug shelter is just an absolute necessity. It's a lot of extra weight, but I have to say it's worth every pound. Right there, it's a bit of a yard sale in there because I thought I was missing my water purification system, but I have it. I decided to pitch my tent back here in the bush. That way I'm a bit sheltered from the wind. My only concern is that most of the trees back here are widowmakers. So there's a lot of them, but it's at least sheltered. And I pushed on all of them. They all seem pretty solid, so I'm not too concerned about any falling over, at least for the time being, but I'll be paying attention tonight. Now I'm inside the bug shelter making breakfast. It's early in the morning, first morning of the trip. I've got my original granola, which I'll be adding, as well as, let me see, I had a packet of that coconut. Oh yeah, it's over here. This coconut milk, and we'll see how it turns out. Well, I made it up, and it's pretty good. It's tasty. It's a nice little breakfast. The area that I'm in right now looks a little pikey. See if I can't pluck out a little pike out of here. We'll see. Trying to figure out if I got a fish or a snag. No, it's a fish. I think it's a good pike here. Oh, it's a big pike. Ooh, it's a big, big pike. Ooh. Ooh. Gonna need a bigger boat. Oh my. Oh my God. This is a 20 pounder, 15, 20. I'm gonna say. First fish of the trip, not bad. Oh yeah, this is a monster. I have not caught a pike like this in a very, very long time. I can't get him in the net. I have a big net, but my net is too small. I got him. Oh, he snapped me off. Oh, trying to get the hook out. And he just snapped me off. I had him in the net right at the boat. It was easily a 20 pounder. And then I tried to take the hook out. He jumped over the side of the net. My net wasn't nearly big enough for this fish. That was a 20-pound pike right there. That was the first fish of the trip so far. And that was just an absolute pig of a fish. And I hope there's more where that came from. I finally managed to find a site, a really nice site actually, on Batchewan Bay right now. And I found a little island site. I wanted to get into Maria Lake today, but I could get there. The problem is coming out on time. And so tomorrow is going to be raining all day, so it's probably not going to be a travel day. So I just don't think it's prudent. I got a really nice island site here, and I think I'm just going to stay put for a couple of days. For now, I'd like to maybe walk you around the site here. The water access on this site is difficult, to say the least. I mean, I think that's an understatement. There's the canoe right now. It's tucked away, so at least it's sheltered. There's a couple of really nice tent pads up here, but I'm kind of tucked away and sheltered here. It's a big site, so take it to the other side. There's a nice fire pit with a gorgeous view of the lake. I can see pretty much all around. I'm just using this as a little bit of a tabletop. And then you can see way back here on the site, I put up the bug shelter. Tough to see what these guys are. Probably, if I were to guess, little daphnids or copepods maybe. I don't know, but there's a lot of them. Good thing we got a good filter. Interesting. Back on the water. Boy, oh boy. It takes a long time to set up camp. That's probably see it in the background. That's my camp. That's the island that I'm camping on. I've been on there at least 3 hours just setting up camp, filtering water, trying to organize my stuff. Now I'm back on the water and I'm hoping to catch another big 20-pounder somewhere. Strange navigational error. I thought I was on one place on Bachuan Bay, but the landscape did not correspond to the map. And so once I started looking into it a little bit, I fired up the GPS to figure out where I was. And basically, I'm on the route that I used to came in. Actually, I'm exactly where I caught that big 20+ pound pike yesterday. So I'm not where I'm very turned around. I know where I am right now, but it sure threw me for a bit of a loop just simply because I was approaching it from a different direction. So hopefully now I'm back on track. I don't really want to fish the same places twice. So I'd like to go and move to another part of the system, see if I can't get some fish. I would say that the fishing so far has been very slow. Oh, I had a fish. I lost it. That's the only excitement so far today. Well, the upside to a smoky fire is that it keeps the bugs down, so that's a good thing. But most of this wood is pretty punky or rotten, and it's not burning really well. You can probably hear it sizzling. Anyway, just about to make dinner, and we've got a beautiful sunset about to happen here. I went with the Mexican couscous tonight and boiled some water on the fire you saw earlier, and I put about half of the bag of Mexican couscous, there's the other half right there, in the pot, and I just covered it with water. I'm gonna let it sit for about 15 minutes, see what happens. This is the moment of truth. I made a cup of tea with the extra water, and so now there's what it looks like. I think I did it perfectly. That looks pretty good, actually. Oh yeah, look at that. I think that's just perfect. Anyway, that Mexican couscous was just delicious. It was fantastic. Quick little look around. Here's what the campsite looks like. Okay. Just getting set up here. hear some running water over here to my left. I was just about to go and explore what that is, but then there's a thunderhead that looks to be developing just behind me. So I think I better hightail it right back to my campsite right now before that storm gets here, because that's going to be nasty. And actually I can feel the wind. I mean, the water looks very calm, but occasionally there's a breeze that comes through that feels a little ominous. But that thunderhead, yeah, that's coming. Looks like I'm gonna make it. I'm here just arriving at my island. There's a little bit of a wind to contend with here, and as long as I can get around this corner without getting blown away, I should be able to land the canoe. Sweet home. We made it back to camp, and just in the nick of time too. Just as we're arriving, it's really starting to come down out there, but I managed to get the campsite more or less battened down, ready for the storm. You can probably hear the thunder rumbles in the background. It's coming. Well, the temperatures dropped precipitously out there as the thunderstorm has rolled in. It's just a huge thunder crack just a second ago. And I thought, well, one way to warm my wet bones right now is my shoes are sopping wet, my pants are wet. It's cold out here, so I figured I'd make a little bit of a cup of tea. So what I did is I'm using the Trangia stove, which is a spirit burner. This is the Trangia stove. And my fuel bottle is leak proof, but it still spits out a little bit of extra fuel, and sometimes you don't really notice it. And to start the Trangia, I use a ferro rod to throw sparks at it, and then it just sparks right up. And what happened was, I guess there must have been fuel all around my stove area here, and when I threw a spark, the whole area around the stove lit on fire. Since you had to stamp it out. Good thing I had wet shoes. Anyway, no harm, no foul. Tonight we're having Moroccan stew. Here's the finished product. I added just a little too much water in this one. I boiled up a bunch of water. I covered the dry stew with it, but it wasn't quite enough water, and I had a little bit of extra water in my water bottle, so I just poured it in. That was too much. So next time, definitely there's a, in terms of rehydrating, there's a butter zone, and the butter zone is very narrow, and if you miss it, you notice it. But still, it doesn't detract one bit from the flavor. It's still a delicious dish. It's really good. That ought to do it. So that's 12 feet in the air, 5 feet away from the trunk. That's about right there. So that's how you hang a food bag. Well, it's 6:11 a.m. I already got a text from Lori over the Zolio. She sent a text message just as I was launching the canoe. And I'm heading out. Early start today. Should have a bit of a tailwind. Should have some nice weather this morning. but then it's gonna start to deteriorate rapidly this afternoon. So let's see how far I can get. I should probably mention that Bachuang Lake, Little Bachuang Bay, this is all part of a traditional fur trade route. And I don't know the history of the fur trade on here. All I know is that it's marked on all the maps that this is a historic fur trade route. I would guess that most of the product came from Fort William in Thunder Bay, and it probably originated, I'm guessing here, but it probably originated in Montreal, left Montreal in the spring. Fur traders, the voyageurs from the Northwest Company would travel across Lake Superior. That would take them basically all summer, and then in the spring again they would leave Fort William and start distributing their product to places far and wide, like Fort Francis, for example, and other forts around the northern Ontario and deeper west. This is I wish all canoe trips would be like this.